The longer he plays, the more his value diminishes.
Yeah.
And his legacy. It gets tainted.
And I agree with OP. The longer this goes, the more his legacy gets diminished. Because the more he expects people to look at him or view him the same as they did 10, 15 years ago. And he's not that player anymore.
The conversation around LeBron James has centered on one question for months. Where will he suit up next? Fans, analysts, and insiders have all focused on his future destination, treating it as the biggest story in basketball. But what if that isn't the real headline at all? What if the bigger shift happened behind the scenes, long before anyone noticed? Instead of asking whether LeBron was preparing to leave Los Angeles, perhaps the more important question is whether the Lakers had already started preparing for life after him. There are growing signs that the organization may have quietly begun turning the page on one of the most remarkable eras in franchise history, even while the rest of the NBA remained focused on where LeBron's next chapter might begin.
He under contract with the Lakers
now. But what did I say? The Lakers are going to be like, really now? Well, we're going to hold your son hostage.
That perspective gained serious attention after former Lakers head coach Byron Scott offered his own interpretation of the situation. Rather than criticizing LeBron James or diminishing everything he has accomplished throughout his career, Scott pointed to what he believes was a much bigger organizational shift. In his view, the moment the Lakers embraced Luka Dončić as the centerpiece of their long-term future, LeBron's chapter with the franchise was already approaching its conclusion. Instead of forcing a dramatic separation or creating unnecessary headlines, the team appeared to give LeBron the opportunity to determine how the final stage would unfold on his own terms. If Scott's assessment is accurate, then this wasn't a last-minute change of direction. It was a carefully developing transition that had been unfolding for quite some time. Looking back at the sequence of events, many of the decisions and moves made along the way begin to fit together in a way that makes the overall story far easier to understand.
So you bring up the Bronny thing with Cleveland. So what's more important to LeBron today? Is it winning another championship, playing with his son, or finishing off his legacy?
None of that. The championship already out the window. He's not going to catch anybody, whoever it was. He's not going to catch Kobe. He's not going to catch Jordan. He damn sure ain't catching Bill Russell. Okay? This is about controlling narrative. That's all it is. It's come down to.
LeBron James transformed the Lakers from the day he committed to the organization. Even before making his debut, excitement around the team reached another level. Demand for tickets surged, jersey sales climbed dramatically, and the Lakers quickly returned to the spotlight as one of the NBA's biggest attractions. The following season, the franchise acquired Anthony Davis, captured an NBA championship, and re-established itself among the league's elite. Regardless of where fans stand in the ongoing debate surrounding LeBron, his influence on the Lakers is impossible to overlook. Still, every successful partnership eventually arrives at a defining moment. In professional sports, front offices can't base long-term decisions solely on emotion or past achievements. Their responsibility is to build a roster that can compete not only today but for the next 5 to 10 years. That means recognizing the right time to shift from one generation to the next, because delaying that transition for too long can make it much harder for a franchise to remain competitive in the seasons ahead.
Because I damn near want to agree with you, but I don't.
So you think he can still get one?
No, I didn't say that either. Okay. You said it was three. There was three scenarios.
Yeah, 3 scenarios I gave you.
And the winning the championship,
playing with his son.
I think that's out the window.
Finish his career and legacy.
He played with his son.
He played with his son already. So it might be the latter. I just don't think that at his age right now, what he's been able to accomplish in this league, and I agree with OP, the longer this goes, the more his legacy gets diminished. Because the more he expects people to look at him or view him the same as they did 10, 15 years ago. And he's not that player anymore. You know, so you got to really find out what's important to him at this particular time. I mean, we can all talk about the love of the game and that you're going to continue to play until, you know, they take that jersey off of you. But at some point in time, you don't also want to go out with it being tainted. You know what I'm saying? And that's where he's kind of getting into that gray area right now.
Everything began to shift once Luka Dončić entered the picture. Bringing him to Los Angeles wasn't simply about adding another elite talent. It represented a commitment to the franchise's long-term future. As one of the NBA's brightest young stars, Luka is the type of player teams expect to build around for many years, not just a single season. That kind of acquisition naturally changes an organization's entire outlook. With a cornerstone player like Luka in place, the focus expands beyond the present. Instead of centering every decision on extending LeBron James' championship window, the franchise's priority becomes creating the best possible environment for Luka to thrive throughout his prime. From roster construction and contract decisions to trades and draft strategy, every major move is viewed through the lens of supporting the team's next era and giving its young superstar the strongest foundation for long-term success.
He will not win another championship. Period.
But hypothetically,
unless he pulls a Patrick Ewing. You know, get a ring as an ambassador for a team. Congratulations, Pat, by the way. Oh, yeah, because he got the coaching job.
Coaching job.
He just got the job.
But he's not winning another ring.
Yeah, I'm agree with OP on that. I just don't see a scenario right now where he can go to a team that has a chance to win a championship.
Byron Scott believes that was the point when the direction of the franchise became much clearer. During his interview, he spoke highly of LeBron James and emphasized how extraordinary it is for a player to remain so productive at this stage of his career. Scott acknowledged that only a handful of NBA legends have maintained this level of performance for so long. Even today, LeBron continues to score efficiently, create opportunities for teammates, battle on the boards, and take control of games when the moment demands it. His ability on the court, according to Scott, has never been the central issue. Instead, Scott suggested that organizations must consider the full picture that comes with adding or keeping a player of LeBron's stature. Teams aren't simply evaluating his basketball skills. They're weighing everything that surrounds one of the league's biggest stars. That includes the constant spotlight from the media, endless speculation about roster moves, daily headlines, nationwide television discussions, and the heightened attention connected to his representation and overall influence. In Scott's view, those factors inevitably become part of every major decision a franchise makes when planning for the future. Byron Scott argues that all of those surrounding factors become part of every important roster decision. Whether someone agrees with that perspective or not isn't really the main issue. His point is that NBA front offices have to evaluate every aspect of a situation before committing to a long-term plan. 10 years ago, those conversations were completely different. Back then, nearly every franchise hoped to convince LeBron James to join its organization. Teams spent years creating salary cap flexibility, and owners traveled across the country just for the chance to meet with him. According to Scott, today's reality looks very different. Instead of every team aggressively pursuing LeBron, many organizations now approach the situation much more carefully. That isn't because his talent has disappeared. It's simply the reality that he's now 41 years old. Every general manager has to ask the same difficult question. How much should a franchise invest in a superstar who may only have 1 or 2 elite seasons left? That's the unavoidable business side of professional sports. Time eventually changes every player's value, no matter how legendary their career has been. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Dirk Nowitzki all reached the stage where their teams had to start thinking about the future. Scott believes LeBron has reached that same point, and in his view, the Lakers recognized it before most people did. Supporters of Scott's theory often point to the Lakers' recent personnel decisions as evidence. Austin Reeves has become one of the biggest examples. When reports suggested Los Angeles was prepared to make a significant long-term investment in him, many fans looked beyond the financial figures. They viewed the move as a statement about the franchise's future direction. Teams don't usually commit major resources to players unless they see them as important pieces of their long-term plans. If Luka Dončić is expected to lead the next era of Lakers basketball, surrounding him with younger, developing talent fits that strategy. It doesn't mean the organization stopped valuing everything LeBron accomplished. It simply suggests that the team's priorities began shifting toward the future, which is something every franchise eventually has to do. The discussion became even more interesting when LeBron's contract situation came into focus. Several NBA analysts noticed that the Lakers never seemed eager to immediately offer another lengthy extension. Instead, they appeared comfortable letting the situation unfold naturally. Those who support Scott's viewpoint believe that approach wasn't accidental. They think the organization had already settled on its long-term direction behind the scenes. Rather than creating headlines by publicly announcing they were moving in another direction, the Lakers allowed LeBron to shape the public conversation about his future. From a public relations standpoint, that approach makes sense. There was little reason to create unnecessary tension with one of the greatest players in league history or risk damaging a relationship that helped deliver an NBA championship. If that was truly the strategy, many would view it as a thoughtful and professional way to manage a difficult transition. Still, not everyone agrees with that interpretation. Plenty of fans believe people are reading far too much into routine business decisions. They point out that today's NBA financial rules are far more restrictive than they were in previous years. The league's second apron system has forced contenders to make extremely difficult roster decisions, limiting the flexibility teams once enjoyed. Building a championship roster has become far more challenging because one expensive contract can affect several future moves. Keeping veteran stars often requires sacrificing younger contributors, while adding another maximum salary can significantly reduce financial flexibility. Modern general managers spend nearly as much time navigating salary cap rules as they do evaluating basketball talent. Those financial realities are impossible to ignore. Even so, Byron Scott maintains that basketball decisions aren't driven solely by numbers, contracts, or on-court production. In his opinion, organizations also consider the broader environment surrounding every major move, especially when a player with LeBron James' profile is involved. Byron Scott also believes that perception plays a major role in how NBA organizations make decisions. In his view, signing LeBron James brings much more than an elite basketball player. The moment he joins a team, nearly every move the franchise makes becomes national news. Coaching choices are scrutinized, teammates become constant topics of debate, and even a short losing streak can dominate sports headlines. Some ownership groups welcome that level of attention because it boosts revenue, increases exposure, and strengthens the team's brand. Others would rather operate with less outside noise and greater day-to-day stability. Neither philosophy is necessarily better. They simply reflect different ways of running a professional sports organization. Scott also discussed the historic partnership between LeBron and his son, Bronny James. Watching a father and son compete together on an NBA court created one of basketball's most memorable moments, and many fans celebrated it as a remarkable achievement. At the same time, some observers wondered whether personal priorities could influence basketball decisions. Scott suggested that certain front offices might privately ask whether similar expectations could arise in the future if they brought LeBron onto their roster. Could family-related considerations eventually become part of team planning? No one outside NBA executive offices truly knows how those conversations take place, but evaluating every possible scenario is part of a front office's responsibility. It's also important to separate speculation from established facts. No NBA executive has publicly stated that these questions prevent teams from pursuing LeBron James. Every franchise operates with its own philosophy. Some organizations would gladly accept non-stop media attention if it improved their chances of competing for a championship, while others place a higher value on maintaining a quieter, more controlled environment. Different teams simply prioritize different things. There's no denying that LeBron remains one of the biggest business attractions in all of sports. His presence continues to drive jersey sales, fill arenas, increase television ratings, attract major sponsors, and generate enormous merchandise revenue. Those advantages still carry tremendous value. However, for every NBA franchise, the ultimate objective remains the same: winning championships. That's why Luka Dončić represents such an important turning point. He's entering what many believe will be the prime years of his career, making him the ideal player to build around for the next decade. If you're the Lakers, every major decision naturally shifts toward creating the strongest possible roster around Luka. That means the focus gradually moves away from maximizing LeBron's remaining seasons. According to this perspective, it isn't about emotion or disrespect. It's simply the reality of long-term team building. Every franchise eventually reaches this difficult crossroads. Fans understandably become attached to legendary players who help define an era, while executives are responsible for planning several years into the future. NBA history has shown this pattern time and time again. The Celtics eventually entered a new chapter after their iconic stars. The Spurs transitioned beyond the Tim Duncan era. Dallas prepared for life after Dirk Nowitzki. Someday, even the Warriors will face similar decisions involving Stephen Curry. Every championship era eventually comes to an end, and many believe the Lakers have already begun writing the next chapter of theirs. That's one reason Byron Scott's comments attracted so much attention. To many fans, his remarks echoed a theory that had quietly been building for months. Perhaps Luka wasn't simply another superstar addition. Maybe his arrival symbolized the official passing of the torch from one generation to the next. If that's the case, LeBron's departure wasn't an unexpected twist. It was simply the closing scene of a story that had already been unfolding behind the scenes. None of this diminishes what LeBron accomplished during his time with the Lakers. He delivered an NBA championship, produced countless unforgettable performances, and proved that an experienced veteran could still compete at an elite level against the league's best. His legacy with the franchise is firmly established, and nothing that happens next can erase those achievements. At the same time, front offices don't build their future based solely on past accomplishments. Their responsibility is to position the organization for future championships, even when those decisions are unpopular with fans. Supporters naturally evaluate what's happening today, while executives make calculated bets on what they believe will produce success tomorrow. Sometimes those choices become brilliant decisions, and other times they don't work out as planned. Only time will determine whether the Lakers made the right call. If Luka Dončić leads Los Angeles to multiple championships, many will praise the organization for making the transition at exactly the right moment. If the team struggles while LeBron finds success elsewhere, critics will argue the franchise moved on too early. That's the reality of professional sports. In the end, victories and losses have a way of changing every narrative.